Welcome to Not Just a Transaction, the podcast series hosted by experienced real estate authorities Nick Prefontaine and Zachary Beach. Each week, the hosts bring you expert guests to help you navigate the many creative options available for buying or selling a home, while cutting out the costly hurdles of a conventional real estate deal. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Not Just a Transaction, the home buyers and home sellers podcast. Today, I'd like to welcome to the show Gerry DeLang. We have a great relationship with Gerry, and we've worked together over the years. So, in 2001, reacting to a huge need in the marketplace, Gerry DeLang founded EndTaxProblems to help taxpayers navigate and resolve their very painful IRS issues. His company has successfully represented thousands of people over the years, restoring peace and sanity to their lives. They've helped folks from all walks of life, from the long-term non-filer to the affluent business facing payroll tax and personal tax issues. Now, oftentimes life events, health crisis, divorce, business failure, accidents, etc., throw what was once an orderly financial life into disarray. Never mind the great crashes of the internet bubble and the real estate meltdown. The real estate meltdown caused business issues, personal issues, and commercial real estate debt to increase even more. His team of seasoned enrolled agents and tax professionals has worked together for almost 20 years, handling all kinds of issues successfully. So with that, Gerry, welcome to the show, my friend.
Nick, great to see you and great to be here with you today from sunny Florida.
Awesome. Well, I can, those listeners, I don't know if they can see, that most people hearing this on the podcast aren't able to see, but you have your golf clubs in the background. You're wearing a golf shirt, a golf hat. It's all good.
I go in the morning and I go at the end of the day.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's great. So Gerry, give the listeners a little bit of insight into who you are. Beyond, I know I've read the bio and everything, but let's hear from you.
Okay. Well, who I am is I'm a guy who about 3 years ago, after a little background in accounting, kind of stumbled into a new industry called the IRS tax resolution industry, which was just being born after the 98 Congress decided that we got to give the taxpayer a little help, a little way to resolve their issues in a orderly fashion. So stumbled into it, ended up loving it. I love it because my clients become my friends. It is a great way to meet new people. And I enjoy taking folks from disarray, from confusion or fear, in the blink of an eye, literally in 10, 15, 20 minutes on a phone call. I'm able to give someone the hope and the confidence that at least that part of their life can be fixed. Might not happen tomorrow. It might take a year. It might take 2, depending upon the problem and how long it's been along. But once you do that, then you can actually get the rest of your life in order. Okay. If you're getting married, I get a lot of clients that want to get married. I get a lot of clients that are getting unmarried. I do business stuff, business failure. Most of my clients are affluent. A lot of them are golfers for some reason. I guess golfers tend to be affluent, or business people, but or professionals. But so I stumbled into something that became my passion. And that is the biggest part of who I am day to day now. But I grew up in Massachusetts a long time ago, went to UMass Amherst, studied accounting, and happily live here in sunny Florida, running up and down the coast, playing golf, going to the beach, traveling, and visiting my family in Massachusetts.
All good. Well, we were chatting a little bit before the show, and we found out we were both born in the same place. So that was pretty
Yes.
interesting. And then we were saying there must be something in the water that makes families want to leave there when they have a young kid. So that was funny, a little back and forth. Now, tell the listeners a little bit, Gerry, about what it is you do, more on a granular level.
Yep. So typically, Nick, what happens in my business life is that local CPAs, attorneys, wealth advisors, bankers, anyone who's dealing with somewhat affluent professionals or business owners, when they have their dearly beloved clients come to them with an IRS problem or a tax lien or something that's disrupted their financial life, their cash flow, and put fear into them, typically they call me. And they'll say, I've got so-and-so, he's a great client of mine, he's a friend of mine, he owes the IRS $200,000, he's scared to death. Can you talk to him? So everybody that gets referred to me, I talk to personally. It takes me about 10, 15, 20 minutes most of the time to get the facts of the story, the most recent issue, if you would, to the head, and then decide in that 15, 20 minutes that, yeah, we can help you. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. If it's free advice, it's free advice. If it's not, if it's serious and we need to engage, then I arrange for us to become their representative with the IRS. So typically, no advertising, all word of mouth. Here, New England, and pretty much it spreads all over the country because in Florida, everyone's from somewhere. So they've got friends, they've got relatives, they've got businesses, they've got a whole host of things that go on throughout the country. And because we deal with the IRS, we can deal with an issue in any state. I've got folks in Hawaii, I've got California, Nevada, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, all of the South, pretty much almost every state over the last 20 years. So it's a simple process, referral through your network, if you would, in this example. They get me, not one of my employees, and I pretty much frame their case in 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's free.
Well, that's great. That's great to hear for everyone out there that's facing a tax challenge with the IRS. Now, for those of you that are going through, whether it's tax collection out there for the buyers and sellers that are listening, whether it's a tax problem or a debt collector problem or anything like that, I know that once that's lurking in your mind, you can't do anything. You're almost paralyzed, or there are the majority of people that are in those situations don't know what to do and they just stop. So you provide kind of a solution to that and help them move on with the rest of their lives. So definitely appreciate that. What is now, if there's one thing that buyers and sellers can take away, Gerry, what do you think it is? If there's one thing that you could add value to them right now, what do you think they should leave this episode with?
Well, what I say to most folks is, don't wait, run to the problem, get accurate information. Even if you don't think you're in a position to pay the IRS or pay us, whatever it may be, it's a free consultation. It's now. You get accurate information. Oftentimes the fears that you have are unfounded as to how serious or how long or how much it's going to take to resolve an IRS problem. I'll give you an example. I've had folks come into my office, been married 30 years, fairly successful, but they had this big IRS problem, $100,000, $200,000, big to them because they didn't have $100, $200 to pay it, right? And they're going to sell their house, they want to retire, whatever it is, and they say to me, Gerry, we got to take care of this IRS problem. I say, okay, let's find out what the facts are. So we might call the IRS with an authorization from them. and talk to the IRS. And in this particular case, because there's a 10-year statute of limitation on collection with the IRS, the debt had expired 3 years prior, uncollectible. So for the last 3 years of their life, married life, together for a long time, they slept every night in their bed thinking they still owed the IRS $100,000 to $200,000, but never got the accurate information that would have freed them from that 3 years ago. So inaccurate information or fear is you said it really well, Nick, paralyzer in people's lives. It keeps them from moving on. And oftentimes it's not real. It's fear, and it's fear because you don't have the facts. You don't have the accurate information. Could be non-filers. I've had people come into my office, they haven't filed in 10 years, 15 years. Life on hold, laying low, not buying anything, not investing because they just afraid to take that step with IRS. And I'll tell them, well, good news. You don't have to file 15 years. We can do the last 3. And we can get you back in the system, and you can get your life back, and you can start investing, and you can start participating in the economy instead of living in a shell, living in a very small world.
Under a rock.
Under a rock. Open your world up. And you'd be surprised if you went to whatever the big mall is up there in Rhode Island, let's say the one downtown Providence, the one I'm familiar with. If you went in that mall and you set up a little table and you gave away $100 to everybody that came up and told you about their IRS stuff, 40 out of 100 people would have had or have an IRS problem, but they never talk about it. So you think you're the only one. You're not. There's a lot of them out there, and they smolder unless they come out. And that's why I give the free consultation, 10, 15, 20 minutes, real easy, get accurate information. And from that, you know what you can and can't do.
Awesome. Well, let me go back to something you said. That was they unnecessarily worried those clients for 3 years, even though the statute of limitation had run out. Mm-hmm. How worry and anxiety works, that probably took 2 or 3 times that off their life. So that probably ended up taking another 6 to 9 years off their life. So they're looking at basically 10 years off their life over stress, anxiety, and worry. So, oh my God, that's crazy to think about, that they could avoid that just by talking to someone like you. And what I always like to say is, I always recommend people, if they're looking to buy or they're looking to sell, or do anything in life. This comes with anything. Going back to my snowboarding accident, when I got in a snowboarding accident, was in a coma for 3 weeks, had to learn how to walk, talk, and eat again. I always return to this one fundamental truth, and whether or not you want to do something, all the planning and all the getting ready in the world, nothing replaces just taking that first step. Yes. Just moving forward and taking that first step. And it sounds like that's right in line with what you're talking about, Gerry.
It's exactly that. And oftentimes when I speak with clients, I use a couple of examples. I say, you don't have to know what the end is, but you got to begin. And when you begin, all things start opening up, all manner of assistance comes from all sides. You never know where it's going to come from, but nothing can happen until you begin. You take that first step. In my case, it's the free consultation. That's the easiest thing in the world. What, 10, 15 minutes, right? You're awake about 14 hours of the day, at least, maybe 16 if you get a full 8, right? You're awake 16 hours a day. What's 10, 15 minutes to find out probably one of the biggest problems in your life? What is it? What is it? What do we do about it? And then the other one is, Nick, it's begin and then go as far as you can see, right? And when you get there, when you get to the corner, well, then you're going to look around the corner, you're going to see other stuff, right? But you can't get your life going if you've got this in your bed, in your head.
If they're up, I was just going to say that, if they're up 10 or if they're up, 15, 16 hours, you said they're getting the full 8. Chances are, if they're dealing with this in their head, they're not sleeping very well. So they're probably only sleeping a few hours a night. So take that first step. It's in your best interest,
Absolutely. And the thing is, it is in the bed. I used to do an ad years ago when I first started, and I had a bedroom, husband and wife in the bed, and I had an IRS black-hatted figure in the middle between them. And I said, you ready to get the IRS out of your bed and out of your head? Call us. Yeah, and I haven't advertised now in about 10, 12 years, so I don't do that anymore. But that was one of my favorite little ads, was get the IRS out of your head and out of your bed, because it's in your bed. Unless you don't tell your spouse, then you're really, I've had those things happen where the wife doesn't know or the husband doesn't know.
Ooh.
And that's not good either. So if you're getting married and you don't quite know the history of your spouse coming in, you might want to check sometimes,
Wow.
because you could be inheriting a smoldering IRS problem back there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, Gerry, the question that everyone out there is burning, at least our listeners, they have it in their head, is why is this not just a transaction to you? In other words, why do you give a shit?
Well, I'll tell you what's happened in my life and business, Nick, over the years. The reason it works for me is the reward of fixing things, service, and believe it or not, when you solve an IRS problem for somebody, no matter it's large or small, they never forget. That was the biggest thing that happened to them, most likely, other than, a death or a serious illness kind of thing. But the IRS is almost as bad, if not worse, because it continues, right? So when you fix that for somebody, my clients become my clients for life. We'll do their tax returns. If it's a business, we'll help them with their business financing and stuff like that. But and because I do the call with them and the consult, they become my friends, and they're whoever referred them are my friends, because they found out that you help my client, or you help my sister, or you help my brother, or you help my mother, right? Whatever that is, and it's just a human thing to do. It's a great business to be in for relationship. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you basically become family, or like a very close friend when you're doing that for people. It's a big deal.
Never forgotten. And I've had it where I had a good one is a building contractor down here, a home builder. I helped with payroll tax issues after the crash back in 2010, 11, right? Mm-hmm. Never contacted him again, fixed him. He was referred to me by his CPA. Worked with him for about a year and a half, so I got to know him, the client, and fixed him. And about 3 years ago, I get a call, same name, which I won't say, but it was his son who ended up with a big IRS problem and said, you helped my dad 8, 9, 10 years ago. And he said, you saved him a couple $100,000 or whatever it is. And now I've done the same thing. I got unmarried basically, and I've got real estate, and I owe the IRS $112,000 or whatever it was. And he was an airplane mechanic. He was looking to go overseas under government contract, and he couldn't get his passport because they flagged him for owing the IRS. Never talked to his father for 8 or 9 years, came right rolling back in and became another good client of mine. So they don't forget, and even if I don't contact them and drip them,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, I think this is a good note to end it on. I have never, before I heard Gerry say it today to me when we were talking a little bit before the show, I have never heard someone describe getting separated as getting unmarried. I love that. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to be using that for now.
No charge. It gets attention because it's you
different.
Expect the other word, right?
It's different.
The D word, and the D word just brings bad vibes with it. But unmarried, I think, has a different flavor, and I love it. And you can have it. You can spread it around.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Gerry. Thank you for coming, and thank you, listeners, for staying to the end of another episode of Not Just a Transaction. And we look forward to connecting with you real soon. If you're a buyer looking to buy, seller looking to sell, head on over to our website, www.preproblems.com. property with a Y, solutions with an S.com, and fill out a contact form. And we look forward to getting in touch with you real soon. Thanks again, Gerry. And
Nick,
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Nick, thank you. Have a great day up there in the beautiful Northeast. And I hope to see you soon.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Not Just a Transaction. If you want to learn more on selling a home, buying a home, or resources to learn more, head on over to our website at originalre.com.